Back for a rare morning live. Back for a rare morning live. Don't often go live in the American morning, but hopefully this will be an American morning in more than one sense. An American morning meaning like daybreak or time to wake up or time to overthrow the evil Trump Putineer regime. So stop Putin's plans for World War III. Stop Trump's plans for Civil War II. And this should be easy to do just by spreading the truth. So the truth is they're lying to you about Charlie Kirk. I can go into more details about that. The truth is Jesus set Judas aside to replace all patriarchy, Christianity, war, and Trumpism. I can go into a lot more details about that. I wrote a book about it. Or you can check out the hashtag Church of Judas. But check out the hashtag Grab 'em by the Posse for how we're going to replace their churches. We're going to replace all the churches that led to Hitler, all the churches that led to Putin, all the churches that led to Trump. We're going to replace all the churches that Charlie Kirk recruited for. We're going to replace all the churches in Christianity. And it's a big deal. I like to talk about it a lot. But right now, I think it's really important to expose the lies of the Trump administration. How they're doing that for an Antichrist Jesus. How they're asking people, it's like the Antichrist is testing people. Will you replace Jesus with Charlie Kirk? Okay, will you replace Jesus with Charlie Kirk if you were forced to worship Charlie Kirk to work? So in order to work, we're going to make you worship Charlie Kirk and replace Jesus with Charlie Kirk. The Antichrist is testing, and people are passing the Antichrist test, meaning they're proving they're Antichrist, but they're failing for Jesus. Okay, so Jesus has a plan to replace all their churches because they were going to fail, or because they've been failing this badly, so they get replaced. Just like we need to replace all these administrators, all these Trump-Putineers, anybody in power, anybody in the media who's promoting Trump lies needs to be replaced. And they should have known this anyway, just kind of naturally. Don't repeat Trump lies, especially if you're in the media. Don't participate in Trump's anti-trans agenda, Trump and Putin's Klan, Nazi, anti-trans agenda. And especially, don't participate in that when your participation in that is also protecting Trump's pedophile secrets. So it makes you a pedophile and it makes you a Nazi to support Trump and Putin right now. And it's kind of like they have an Antichrist test. Are you willing to replace Jesus with Charlie Kirk? Okay, we're going to force this to be the only conditions under which we'll allow you to work, is if you're willing to replace Jesus with Charlie Kirk. They've got their test. Well, we need to have our test, is if you believe these lies, if you repeat these lies, you don't get access to people anymore. You don't get internet access. You don't get to go out in public anymore. Okay? This goes for like all of our media right now. Yeah, there's some content creators out there, but I mean, even of the content creators we're allowed to see, a lot of them, are following the leads, but when it starts getting too close to Putin, they'll steer you away. So they don't have the integrity that we need to talk about this. I mean, they might have the integrity hidden, but they're not using their integrity when they're willing to promote Putin, willing to promote Trump lies to promote Putin. Adam Mockler is the one who comes to mind for me. He's the one who read the text exchange between Tyler Robinson and his roommate that Kash Patel wrote using Chat KGB. Like, it's so obvious Kash Patel wrote this. I think it's so obvious Kash Patel wrote it that when he wrote it, he would only put "my love" in a couple of times because he figured, yeah, they're gonna find out that I wrote this, and I don't want my fantasies about how I would talk to a trans lover to be pinned on me. So I'm just going to say "my love" a few times, just sprinkle that in there. That should be enough. Let's not get deeply into his fanfic fantasies, Kash Patel's fanfic fantasies about writing to his trans lover. So I think he really played that side of it down. He had to include some references to trans lover in there. He, for some reason, had to include a lot of talk and focus on his granddad's gun. Like his granddad's gun was the most important thing. So anyway, I was pleased to see other content creators calling out these text exchanges as completely fabricated. Candace Owens called them out as redacted or edited, although I think that's, again, trying to give too much credit. That's Candace Owens steering towards the conclusion and then steering us away from it. Candace Owens is the kind of the point person right now for turning point person, no pun intended. She's kind of the turning point person for turning the right against Israel. And of course, Nick Fuentes was doing that too. And in his own way, Charlie Kirk was doing that too. I mean, the allegation is that Israel killed Charlie Kirk because he was backing away from his full-chested support of Israel all the time. I mean, it tracks. It fits the exact same pattern as Trump killed Charlie Kirk because he backed away from his full-chested support of Trump all the time, where he questioned the Epstein files. He questioned Trump hiding the Epstein files for one weekend. And then he came back and it looked like he'd been threatened and was like, I'm just going to trust my government. And that was enough to get him killed by a lot of their supporters who were like, don't trust the government, who spent, all those years repeating Trump's rallying cry to not trust the government. So basically, Trump killed Charlie Kirk. I mean, Trump is responsible for Charlie Kirk's death any way you slice it, okay? Pick one of the explanations you want, put it in comments, and I'll tell you how Trump's responsible. Or I'll just go over all of them. If Candace Owens is right and Israel did it, Trump's responsible because he's president, for one, and he should have stopped Israel's plan to do that, / he coordinated it with Israel, just like he coordinated his response to Charlie Kirk's death with Israel. I mean, literally coordinated, like Trump and Netanyahu tweeted the exact same minute. They both had plans ready to go for when Charlie Kirk was shot, and they started enacting those plans immediately. Trump and Putin did. I mean, Trump and Netanyahu did that. Well, Putin did it for both of them. Putin had their boxed lunches ready to go. Putin had their little sack lunches ready to go. So that's one piece of evidence that even in one side of looking at it, even if Israel actually killed Charlie Kirk, Trump's still responsible. Trump works with Netanyahu. Netanyahu did all of his genocide, refused any hostage deals in order to get Trump elected. Like that was all part of the plan too. So yeah, just because Trump did it didn't mean Israel didn't do it. Just because Trump and Israel did it didn't mean Tyler Robinson didn't do it. Now, he either did it as a paid, orchestrated, like, Trump and Netanyahu told Nick Fuentes to tell Tyler Robinson to do that. That's entirely possible. There's no evidence that contradicts that order of events. That's still maybe the most likely possibility to me. Or Tyler Robinson acted on his own. If Tyler Robinson acted on its own, it's still Trump's fault, okay? If Tyler Robinson acted on his own to punish Charlie Kirk for questioning Trump over the Epstein files, if Tyler Robinson acted on his own for Charlie Kirk questioning Trump over the Epstein files and then backtracking on it, tell me which of these scenarios you guys believe. There's 11 of you in here. One of you has to have an opinion. If Tyler Robinson acted on his own and killed Charlie Kirk because he's too MAGA, because Tyler Robinson is too MAGA. Charlie Kirk wasn't being MAGA enough, fascist enough, Nazi enough. If Tyler Robinson killed Charlie Kirk because Charlie Kirk was being too MAGA, was being, either of these scenarios is still because Trump and Putin created MAGA. Trump and Putin refused to release the Epstein files. All of those scenarios make Tyler Robinson killing Charlie Kirk Trump's fault. Now let's look at Kash Patel's version. Let's look at the version that Kash Patel got out of Chat KGB. Kash Patel fed some prompts into Chat KGB and got a text message exchange, produced a text message exchange between Tyler Robinson and his roommate. He labeled his roommate as trans. He got the Chat KGB to say, "my love," a few times and obsess about his grandfather's gun. But all of that stuff, if we take Kash Patel's fabricated fanfic story shipping Tyler and his roommate together, then it becomes like a Hallmark movie. Then it becomes these people were doing this for love. This is a 2025 Bonnie and Clyde story that, American audiences will eat up because he did it for love. It's a crime of passion. It's, self-defense. It's all this stuff. And I don't think they realize how that's how their story will be received. their whole let's blame trans people narrative really backfires on them into they'll make a Hallmark movie out of this or out of this version of events, because I don't think there's any truth to it. I don't think there's a single trans person involved. Anybody who repeats that there's a trans person involved is a Nazi and a fascist for repeating Trump lies. And that goes down to everybody, to NPR, to, it's really sad how all these content creators are steering people away from the very obvious conclusion Trump and Putin killed Charlie Kirk. Trump and Putin and Netanyahu killed Charlie Kirk. If Netanyahu wasn't directly involved, trying to punish Charlie Kirk for wavering on his support for Israel and send a message to all the other Zionists, you can't waver or we'll kill you. If Israel did that intentionally, Putin and Trump are still responsible. Or even if Israel didn't do that, they're still responsible for helping Putin and Trump set all these conditions to kill Charlie Kirk. It's like they're all too tied into it to not be responsible. Again, they all had responses ready to go. Trump and Netanyahu apparently tweeted about Charlie Kirk's death at 3:02 p.m., which apparently is too early, according to the comedian Sammy Obeid, and he's repeated that joke in multiple stand-up appearances. So I'm starting to think, that those facts check out. But I don't think any of Kash Patel's text exchange between Tyler Robinson and his roommate, none of that checks out. Ross Childs, the guy who does such a great impersonation of Vladimir Putin, really pointed that out in a recent video from yesterday. A lot of the ways that the text exchange doesn't make any sense, or only makes sense as Kash Patel's effort to make him look like he did something. Oh my gosh, why do we have wait, oh, never mind, sorry, I misread your name. Rezo did something, says, where do you even read that? Where did you even read that? I watched the Adam Mockler video where he gives you Putin's perspective on things, because Adam Mockler works for Putin. He presents as a leftist to attract a leftist audience, and then he works for Putin. So Adam Mockler, working for Putin, read the Kash Patel text exchange, the Kash Patel chat KGB generated text exchange, supposedly between Tyler Robinson and his roommate, his trans roommate, who's not trans. And Adam Mockler read that text exchange and then said, well, this is proof he's not a Groyper. It's like, yeah, it was designed to suggest to you that he's not a Groyper, but you're working for Putin if you're saying Tyler Robinson's not a Groyper. I mean, that goes down to NPR's working for Putin, Adam Mockler's working for Putin. All these people are working for Putin. That's how you tell. Again, they're trying to make the test. Will you replace the Antichrist is trying to make the test. Will you replace Jesus with Charlie Kirk? Okay, what if you have to worship Charlie Kirk to work? Oh, you can only work if you worship Charlie Kirk. Will you replace Jesus with Charlie Kirk? And he got a lot of people to fall for it. We need to have a test too. If you repeat their lies about trans people, you don't get the internet. You don't get to be in public. Like if you repeat Trump's lies about trans people, if you repeat Trump's lies trying to target trans people in this situation, we never listen to you again. You don't have a platform anymore. You don't have a channel anymore. Whether or not you work, I don't know. Okay, what does Coleman say? Coalmen. I'm so glad I got my daily report in. Thanks for going live. Yeah, so the report is Candace Owens isn't lying this time. Candace Owens is right for a second time. Candace Owens, a broken clock is right twice a day. And Candace Owens is wrong about everything. But Candace Owens is right about two things. In Gaza, it's a genocide that we need to stop. And they're lying to you about Charlie Kirk. Okay? Like, she's going to have a lot more details about Israel's involvement in this. But what I'm saying is Trump is responsible. Whether or not Israel did it, whether or not Netanyahu did it, Trump is responsible. Whether or not Netanyahu really had nothing to do with it other than had a big-ass plan ready to go for when it happened. And there's a lot of history with that, with Netanyahu attacking himself or allowing attacks to take place, such as September 11th, without telling anybody, in order to get sympathy for his side. Like, that's what Netanyahu does. That's what Putin does in Chechnya. Putin attacked himself in Chechnya in order to blame Chechen rebels. It's what Putin does. It's what Trump probably did with the missiler in Butler, with the misser, the guy who shot the teleprompter and the fireman. Zeno Bell says, so you want fascism? No, I want you Groypers to realize that we're going to be rounding you up. We'll be rounding you up the American way, not the Groyper way, not your way. We won't be rounding you up the Groyper way, the Tyler Robinson way. We'll be rounding you up the American way, where we get you to talk afterwards. That reminds me of one of my favorite jokes. What's the sound of waterboarding Trump? Putin, Putin. What's the sound of waterboarding Charlie Kirk? I'm just going to listen to my government. I'm just going to trust my government on this. I'm going to stop talking about the Epstein files. I'm just going to trust my government on this. Imagine a giant head and a tiny little face saying, I'm just going to trust my government on this. I'm going to stop talking about the Epstein files. I'm just going to trust my government on this. Does that ring a bell? I'm just going to stop talking about the Epstein files. I'm just going to trust my government on this. But you have to imagine a giant head that won't fit on the screen and a tiny face that you need a microscope to see. I'm not going to talk about the Epstein files anymore. I'm just going to trust my government on this. Right? Famous last words, right? So Candace Owens says she's getting to the bottom of this. And if you think you can stop her, it's going to be over her dead body. I'm sure that can be arranged. Like, she really put it to Putin and Trump. To Netanyahu. She really said, hey, Netanyahu, I challenge you to murder me. Because Netanyahu would probably still murder Candace Owens. But if he does, it proves what she says true. Although, that's not going to stop him. He doesn't care about the truth. So anyway, what lies about trans people? There aren't any trans people involved in this. Kash Patel and Trump and Putin will lie and say it involves trans people, but it's just Nick Fuentes is a Groyper. Nick Fuentes runs a terrorist cell called the Groypers. Tyler Robinson's a Groyper. Anybody who's trying to distract you from that is a Groyper. And again, Americans are going to round them up. Not the Groyper way, not the way the Groypers rounded them up. We're going to round you up the American way. We're going to keep something around to question afterwards. Coleman says, no, reporting your channel for misinformation. Yeah, let's see how well. Report my channel to Net and YouTube, you fucking Nazi. Go whine to Net and YouTube. Go whine to Net and YouTube. Go whine to him. Look what happened to Netanyahu's strongest supporter recently, Charlie Kirk. Are you going to be able to report to? What if you miss a report? What if you could have reported something to Net and YouTube and you missed that report? Could it be your life? Could you be putting your life at risk for standing up for Netanyahu all this time, like Charlie Kirk did, and then backtracking the slightest bit? Could you be putting your life on the line by demanding the Epstein files? And then when it's obvious that Trump is the Epstein files, you still demand the Epstein files. But then when he threatens you, you back down. That could cost you your life. Supporting Trump can cost you your life. Just ask Charlie Kirk. Oh, that's right. You can't. He's dead. You stupid fucks. A Groyper killed him. Tyler Robinson, a Groyper MAGA Nazi, a Mormon extremist, a Mormon terrorist, killed him. This is back to the beginning of this life, why Church of Judas replaces all patriarchy, Christianity, war, and Trumpism. We replace all of that at once with one thing, Judas, Church of Judas. Because you've been betrayed by the Antichrist Trump and Putin and Charlie Kirk and Nick Fuentes. You've been betrayed by them. Now, you need to betray them. Your only duty to an evil God, an evil master, is betrayal. So, Charlie Kirk betrayed Netanyahu, and Netanyahu had him killed. Tyler Robinson did not betray Nick Fuentes. Tyler Robinson did what Nick Fuentes wanted him to do. Nick Fuentes is a traitor to humanity, to America. And you traitors are going to see that you're on the wrong side. Okay? Trump's a traitor. Trump coordinated all this shit with Putin. Okay? Traitors. Anybody who supports Trump is a traitor. Execution is the actual penalty for your treason. We'll probably go lighter on most of you than that. But we shouldn't go any lighter than, we might keep them around again to get more information out of them in the future. But Trump, Stephen Miller, Alito, Clarence Thomas, these traitors, they're not American. And we are going to revoke their American citizenship when we get power. We could revoke their citizenship by revoking their ability to be alive. Again, trial's not absolutely necessary. This is the trial. We're having the trial now. There's an Antichrist test out there right now that's saying, are you willing to replace Jesus with Charlie Kirk? Okay, what if we make it where you can only work if you worship Charlie Kirk? Are you willing to replace Jesus with Charlie Kirk? because you can only work if you worship Charlie Kirk. That's their test. Our test is going to be, you repeat their lies? Nah, we're done. We're canceling you in every way, not just your platform. We're canceling you. You're a Mormon. Okay, so Mormonism gets replaced. Are you guys talking about this Mormon extremism right now? Are you talking about how a Mormon terrorist just did some MAGA on MAGA crime? Are you talking about how you need to clean up your religion because you're producing Mormon terrorists? Because I'm going to replace the Mormon church, okay? I'm going to replace the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I'm not personally replacing it. It's Jesus replacing it via Judas, and I'm the one telling you. Let's read the rest of your comments. Coleman's had a lot to say. After he says he's reporting my channel, so he doesn't want this outlet to converse about these topics because he wants to cancel me. He wants to, if this was a book, he would want to burn it because he's a Nazi. Coleman, the Nazi pedophile Coleman says, that's my daily goal. Make sure I catch you in a nasty lie. I was here for 15 seconds, already content that needs to be reported. No, you're just a Nazi. You're just a pedophile. You know Trump's a pedophile. You know Trump's a pedophile. In your heart of hearts, you know Trump's a pedophile. You probably don't understand what a Nazi is enough to realize that having these concentration camps and everything else that Trump does that's Nazi, it not only makes him a Nazi, it makes you a Nazi for supporting him. Okay, so your ancestors are ashamed of you. All of your ancestors are ashamed of you. Okay? Coleman, the Nazi pedophile, says, another misinformation report. Tyler's gay partner was in transition. Nope, that's just a KGB lie. Like, there's zero truth to that. There's zero evidence for that. There's what Kash Patel said. Okay? Kash Patel's never told the truth. Trump has never told the truth. It's what Trump says. Trump's the one who says, oh, his roommate is trans. Nope, his roommate didn't say that. Tyler Robinson didn't say that. Trump said that. The KGB said that. The Timu KGB, FBI said that. Okay, and a bunch of news outlets reported it, which show, again, they should lose their citizenship. They should be deported to Siberia with you MAGA trash. The pedophile Nazi Coleman says, another report for terrorism. You're the terrorists. Nick Fuentes is the terrorist. Nick Fuentes' terrorist cell, the Groypers, killed Charlie Kirk. One branch of Trump and Putin's terrorist network attacked another branch of Trump and Putin's terrorist network. Are you on Nick Fuentes' side or Charlie Kirk's side? Are you a Groyper or a big head? More misinformation. I haven't said a single false thing in the entire life. You notice we're still rolling. Nobody's listening to your reports if you're filing them, or they know that they're all false. Coleman, another report. You can report all you want. You can burn all the books you want. We're going to print more. We're going to beat you Nazis. Okay? While you're burning down our libraries and schools and our government, we're taking your churches. We're replacing your churches. We're not going to burn them down necessarily, but we're going to repurpose them. And more misinformation words. Residue says, I'm a Mormon. Why am I a terrorist? Well, you're part of a religion. There's a lot of reasons why you're a terrorist as a Mormon, but you're part of a religion that's just produced this Mormon terrorist. You know how Tyler Robinson is a Mormon terrorist, right? You know how Tyler Robinson is a Mormon extremist? Yeah, that's you guys. Your Mormonism, your fake Jesus did that. You guys don't have the real Jesus. You have the Antichrist. Just like anybody who accepts Trump or anybody who accepts Charlie Kirk as Jesus never had a real Jesus. They just had an Antichrist. And that Antichrist can be replaced by another Antichrist such as Trump, or another Antichrist such as Putin or Hitler, or another Antichrist such as Nick Fuentes, or another Antichrist such as Charlie Kirk. That's all you guys are. Antichrist as living fuck. Okay? We're going to replace your churches for that. You just encourage violence and murder. I'm reporting you for a minute danger again. Whatever. No, I didn't. I don't encourage violence and murder. That's you guys. You guys do that. Remember, you're the Nazis. You're the fascists. You're the ones who are calling to kill all homeless people for Charlie Kirk. You're the ones who are threatening HBCUs for Charlie Kirk. Historically black colleges and universities, and there was zero black people in Utah that day, or there were zero black people involved in this whatsoever, and you threatened black colleges and universities, like 12 of them, in revenge for Charlie Kirk. You're just Klan Nazis. I don't need to talk to you. I'll probably be muting you in the future when I get more people to talk to. But Net and YouTube only picks Trump-Near Klan Nazis for my channel. Let's see what Sixth Sense Amelia has to say. What are you even talking about, Coleman? You don't even know Tyler or Tyler's flatmate. Oh, you must be from Europe. I mean, from England or something. That's cool. Speculating about people you yourself don't even know. Not only does he not know them, you can tell. If Kash Patel's telling you, if Trump's telling you something, it's a lie. Okay? So they've just marked out, we're going to lie about trans people here. We're going to have one of our terrorists kill another one of our terrorists. We're going to blame it on trans people and lie about trans people for days. And all these media outlets, at least they're catching the media outlets. You know, they think that they're overwhelming the media outlets and making all the media outlets repeat their lies. But we're catching those media outlets. We now know how many media outlets will repeat lies about Tyler's roommate being trans, just like Coleman, the Nazi pedophile in comments, is doing. You can talk about the comments, but you need to say that murder is bad. You need to stop encouraging the murder. I'm blaming Tyler Robinson being a Groyper for the murder. I'm blaming you for the murder. You're the one who's acting like it's not a big deal, that you're proud of the murder that you did against Charlie Kirk. You're the one doing that, Coleman. You're the one being the Nazi pedophile in this conversation. Coleman says, you need to realize that words don't hurt Republicans. Truth doesn't hurt Republicans because they're immune to it. But it does, I mean, yes, spreading the truth actually does hurt Republicans ultimately. And when you say you need to realize that words don't hurt Republicans, you sound like a Groyper. You sound like someone saying you can only shoot Republicans. That's what Coleman seems to be saying. The only language Republicans understand is violence. No, Republicans are capable of understanding things. Yeah, they're brainwashed by Putin and Trump, the Antichrist. The Antichrist has plenty of powers to lie. Red Pills, that was confirmed that he was transitioning. It wasn't confirmed. Who confirmed it? Did the roommate confirm it? No, Kash Patel confirmed it. The KGB confirmed it. They're a misinformation network and an obvious anti-trans hate organization. So of course they're going to find some way to blame a trans person. They're going to make up a trans person to blame. They blamed Sky Valadez before Tyler Robinson admitted it. They blamed an actual, they had a trans person that they had a whole campaign to blame in order to get some violence against trans people going because they're Nazis. Don't be a Nazi. Don't believe their lies. The Nazi pedophile Coleman says, I went through school, so I know what an actual concentration camp is and what an actual Nazi is. You didn't go to the right schools then, because you should know that Trump's concentration camps make him and you a Nazi. And if you went to enough school to know that Nazis are bad, you should be able to listen to someone, one of the many millions of people who have been telling you that you are a Nazi for supporting Trump. Everybody knows it. Why is Trump so butthurt over being called a Nazi? He's like, they call people like Charlie Kirk a Nazi because Charlie Kirk is a Nazi. Okay? That doesn't mean you have to shoot them, but at least being able to call them a Nazi points it out. Trump-Putiners are worse than Nazis, for the record. Not all Nazis are pedophiles, but all Trump-Putiners are pedophiles. You're all pedophiles, which is why I will continuously introduce your comment. Every comment you make, Nazi pedophile traitor Coleman says, and all the Discord chats and all the text messages and the fact that they have that thing sitting in an interrogation room and he's spilling the beans. You called him that thing. I guess you mean Tyler Robinson, or do you mean his roommate? Because his roommate wasn't an accomplice. According to their own supposed text messages, his roommate didn't know anything about it. So his roommate couldn't be spilling the beans because his roommate doesn't have the beans. But you believe Kash Patel's side of the story because you're a Nazi and because Kash Patel's a Nazi. When we round these motherfuckers up, they already had the Senate hearing, but they let him go. You know, but when we round these motherfuckers up, when we grab them by the posses don't wait for lawyers. Posses can citizens arrest someone, not wait for lawyers, and then what happens, happens. Just like cops can use their qualified immunity to stop ICE kidnappers. They can stop them any way they want. Cops can stop ICE kidnappers any way they want, and they have qualified immunity to do so. Wait till it starts happening. ICE has been kidnapping cops and firemen So as soon as that thin blue line kicks in, we should have less kidnappers out there, thanks to some American cops. You see how this goes? Instead, they got some cops killed yesterday. Was the domestic violence guy who shot those cops an ICE kidnapper? I don't know. They haven't revealed what he was. Was he a white man? Was he an ICE kidnapper who thought he could kill some cops and get away with it because he's been kidnapping people and getting away with it? Well, maybe the cops need to realize whose side they're on. Are they on American side or MAGA's side? You're going to have to make a choice at some point. So we're making, you guys are making everybody make a choice. Are you going to replace Jesus or whoever your God or goddess is with Charlie Kirk? Okay, we're going to force you to worship Charlie Kirk to work. Will you replace Jesus with Charlie Kirk? That's you guys' deal. Our deal is, are you going to repeat Kash Patel and the KGB's lies about trans people? Because you're going to get canceled for that. Okay, let's see if there's any decent comments. It's just all the Nazi pedophile Coleman in comments. Says he went through school. Nazi pedophile Coleman says all the Discord chats. Oh yeah, he believes all that crap. That's why he's a Nazi. That's why he's a pedophile. E pluribus unum, who's also a Nazi pedophile from what I remember, says, good job. You put on a clean shirt. Sixth Sense Amelia says, hello, good morning. Euless, good morning, Sixth Sense Amelia. Thank you for your comments. I was going to grab my other shirt since these Nazi pedophiles missed my other shirt. T Skoog says, do you paint those paintings on the wall? Yes, paintings painted by me. REZOD something says, if one black guy commits a crime, I should just assume they're all guilty. That is how you were spinning Tyler Robinson. No, you're the one who decided to make it about black people because you're a racist, because you're a Nazi, because you're also a pedophile. When you're a racist and a Nazi who supports Trump, you're even worse than a racist and a Nazi. You're a pedophile. Coleman says, that was all you. Yeah, it is all me. It's my life. Tatiana Exeria Bale says, you need to check your hate. I imagine they're talking to the Nazi pedophile Coleman. If you're saying I need to check my hate because I hate Nazi pedophiles, you sound like a Nazi pedophile. Stop being a damn Nazi pedophile. You need to check your Nazi pedophilia. Harry balls on ya. Ha, you did that. Says, you are seriously one delusional dude. Says Harry balls on ya. The guy whose name is Harry Balzania, the Nazi pedophile. Let me point out that he's defending Nazis and pedophiles. So we've confirmed that Harry Balzania is a Nazi pedophile. But the guy whose name is Harry Balzania is a Nazi pedophile. Trying to make me feel shame? I'm glad I triggered you, Harry Balzania, you Nazi pedophile piece of trash. And I'm glad the Nazi hunters will be able to hunt you using your comments. Coleman's giving lots of breadcrumbs. Nazi pedophile Coleman says, every time I see you on here, your viewer count is substantially dropped. Are you kidding me? 15 is high for my viewer count. Netanyahu YouTube is not letting anybody see this shit. Just dumping a bunch of Nazi pedophiles in here and that Sixth Sense Amelia. You are slowly being removed from the algorithm. Oh, what a threat. You haven't seen my channel. I've been on YouTube all this time. I've never been on the algorithm. The algorithm is afraid of me. YouTube is afraid of me. Coleman. Oh, sorry. Nazi pedophile. Let's give you your honorifics. Nazi pedophile, Coleman, says, you had 300 viewer. Next day, 165. Today you have 8, and one of them is here to report you. I'm sure you're all here to report me because you're all Nazi pedophiles, with the exception of Sixth Sense. But guess what? We're replacing your churches with the Church of Judas. Check out the hashtag Church of Judas, people that just came into the screen. This is all just calling out Trump and Putin's lies that they're using to try to start World War III and try to start Civil War II. And we knew they were going to do this. We were saying Trump and Putin will try to start World War III and Civil War II if you give them half a chance, and y'all gave them half a chance because you're Nazis and pedophiles. Sixth Sense Amelia says, not me, the algorithm brought me here. Not true, the algorithm brought me here. I think I've seen you before, Sixth Sense Amelia. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but your name sounds familiar. Thanks for coming back. And thanks for commenting things that aren't Nazi. I'll probably skip the Nazi pedophiles comments. You don't believe in freedom of religion. Also, were you all 360 viewers? No, you were one. Yeah, I've had thousands of viewers before. I'm ready to have thousands of viewers. And when I get thousands of viewers, Net and YouTube can't keep 2 or 3 decent people from coming in when I get thousands of viewers. This time I've got a decent person in 17 viewers. So the odds are in my favor. T-Skoog says, can you move on to the next? Can you move to the left a tad? I'd like to see the painting on your wall. That's my left. You want the camera to the left? That's more paintings. I've got a whole lot more paintings I could show you. Coleman, the Nazi pedophile, says, you forgot you literally named government officials and said they need to be silenced. That's imminent danger. No, it's not. Not imminent danger. You guys saying you need to silence trans people and people need to attack trans people, that's imminent danger. That's terrorism. Nobody's busted you for it. Harry Balls says, reported hateful speech. Still here. Okay, guess what? Maybe they don't take this reports from a Nazi pedophile like Harry Balls, who has been on YouTube for 11 years with 4 subscribers. Maybe they don't take your report seriously. Maybe they should cancel your channel because you're false reporting, you're trying to censor people, and you're a Nazi and a pedophile. Wild Boy Adventure says, cognitive dissonance at its finest. Cookie says, what camps, you stupid fuck? Oh, the concentration camps, Alligator Auschwitz, stuff like that. Coleman, you were a fucking tweaking. I just woke up. I'm not doing anything except for riding you Nazis' tears. Cookie says, you're a fucking idiot. That dude Dryan says, LMAO dude's been off his meds all week. No, I've never been on the Putin bullshit. I've never been on your Nazi bullshit. I've never been a pedophile like you guys. So, you guys being a pedophile, I probably sound like some type of alien to you. 77 million pedophiles. 77 million people. You mean 77 million Nazi pedophiles in this country that support Trump? 77 million pedophiles. That's a lot of houses we can give to immigrants. Cookie says, you kid diddler. Nope, you're projecting because you're a Nazi and a pedophile. You hear me calling out Nazi pedophiles. I'm against Nazis and pedophiles like Kash Patel and Trump and Putin and Netanyahu. I'm against those Nazis and pedophiles and Nick Fuentes and Charlie Kirk. I'm against those Nazis and pedophiles. You are one of those Nazis and pedophiles. There's 2 different brands of those Nazis and pedophiles when you get to the Charlie Kirk, Nick Fuentes branch. There's the Zionist Nazi pedophiles. That's Charlie Kirk. There's the anti-Zion, or the Klan. There's the anti-Semitic Nazis and pedophiles. That's Nick Fuentes. That's the Groypers. Which one are you guys? Which branch of the Nazi pedophile terrorist network are you guys? Charlie Kirk or Nick Fuentes? Coleman says, the roommate confirmed it. You were lying. I've never seen the roommate. I've never seen any video or images of the roommate saying anything. I don't think that's true. I think Kash Patel got the roommate, got this Groyper terrorist cell to say, hey, will you play the trans person? Will you be the trans person? Okay, Tyler Robinson refuses to be the trans person. Will you be the trans person so we can blame a trans person here? That's how they got you. Don't do violence for them. Robert Hurst says, take a breath, dude. Okay. What if I take your breath? What if I do even better than that? What if I take the curses from the Nazi pedophiles in comments and I curse Putin with them? What if I take the curses away? You're welcome. From the Nazi pedophiles in comments and I curse Trump with them. What if I take the curses away? You're welcome. From the Nazi pedophiles in comments and I curse Netanyahu with them. Last time we did this, look what happened to Charlie Kirk. You might do some good in your life despite your own will. And your will is Putin's will. You're only doing Putin's will. You don't have a will of your own. Somebody was asking me about free speech the other day. I should have mentioned that. You don't have a will of your own. Your will is Putin's will. You have a mind of Putin's own. Coleman, the Nazi pedophile, says, awesome, I get to report you every time you say my name. Bring it, ho. No, look, you're a Nazi and a pedophile. Anybody can tell that you support Trump. That's all the evidence anybody ever needs that you're a Nazi and a pedophile. So Coleman, since you want to just report every time I say your name, I'll go ahead and mute you so you won't ever say anything again. He doesn't have the beans because he cut them off. XD, the irony is fucking hilarious. You're a Nazi. You're a transphobic Nazi pedophile. We'll read the rest of your comments, then we'll delete you. Coleman, also I'm an atheist, so have fun with that. Atheists are half right. God is a dangerous lie. But you guys are supporting Mormon terrorism. This is hilarious. How many of y'all here to trash this dude? So you're trying to like rally the other Klansmen and pedophiles in the comments. Coleman says, there is one supporter. Coleman is trying to threaten the people who support me in comments. Because he's a Nazi, he's a terrorist, he's a pedophile. Coleman says, so you don't tweak till later in the day. No one tweaks. You're the meth heads. You're the Nazis. You're the pedophiles. Okay, let's delete Coleman. Do it. I'm fucking rolling in laughter, bro. Well, you're going to have to roll in laughter silently because guess what we're doing? We're putting you in timeout. All right. 300 seconds. You should be able to handle that. I should time you out for the entire hour, but now I'll read the other comments that we missed, focusing on the Nazi pedophile, Coleman. Okay. I'm not going to read them all. Jeremiah Littlejohn says, Jesus loves you, bro. Read your Bible and come to truth. Okay. Jesus set Judas aside to replace all your churches. Okay. Read or listen to my videos under the hashtag Church of Judas, or read my book, The Book of Judas. The Rod Father says, are you seriously arguing with a guy named Harry Balsonia? I wasn't arguing with him. I was just pointing out he's a pedophile and a Nazi. Rod Father says, do a drug test live on the air. That sounds really Trumpy. White man from town says, you have 17 people watching. Yeah, now it's 9. But are any of them any good? We had Sixth Sense Amelia. Okay, we have a good person. That's all that matters. We have one good person. Sixth Sense Amelia says, maybe I've been here before. Nope, not here to troll. Right. You might have been here before. I thought I recognized your name. I think you would recognize me because I'm about the only person talking about this stuff. White man from town says, you have no power. No, Jesus has the power. I'm only doing this for Jesus. I'm only doing this because you guys, the Antichrist, has made you guys a test and said, are you willing to replace Jesus with Charlie Kirk or Putin or Trump or Hitler? And you said yes. You're willing to replace Jesus with Charlie Kirk. So you failed the test. I mean, you passed the Antichrist test to be Antichrist. But I'm the other side. I'm saying, they're like, well, are you willing to replace Jesus with Charlie Kirk? Okay, what if we force you to worship Charlie Kirk in order to work? That's the standard that they're trying to set right now. But we're going to say, hey, if you spread their lies, we're not listening to you anymore. Ghost Samurai, 1925, nice to see you. Ghost Samurai has power. It's ironic that you said you have no power and then Ghost Samurai shut up. Ghost Samurai has incredible power. Don't mess with Ghost Samurai. Bye, Coleman. He'll be back in, 200 seconds now. White man from town says, Coleman is better than you. No, he's not. He's a Nazi and a pedophile. You're a Nazi and a pedophile because you agree with Coleman. You support Trump. Your channel activity is you joined 3 months ago and you have 2 subscribers. Client, yeah, KKK Kirk. Yeah. Well, he's gone now. The Groypers got him. Nick Fuentes got him. Trump and Putin got him. Netanyahu got him. Netanyahu said a strong signal that if you support Israel, you better keep supporting Israel or else they'll kill you. Trump sent a strong signal. If you support Trump, you better keep supporting Trump. You better not ask about the Epstein files or they'll kill you. It's pretty clear. The message is pretty clear. Trump's a pedophile and a Nazi. Quit skipping comments. You know you're scared of them. No, I didn't skip any comments. They may have hidden a comment from Steffelson, who I'm pretty sure is a pedophile and a Nazi. Oh, let's prove it. They say, with a taste in girls that remind him of his own daughter. Oh, sorry. Steffelson is not a pedophile and a Nazi. I misremembered your name. Steffelson is an American or a human or a good person. Steffelson is pointing out, let me show that comment. Steffelson is pointing out that Trump's taste in girls for his pedophilia was the ones that reminded him of Ivanka. But I think we need to ask Ivanka personally, were you pimped out to Epstein? Did Trump pimp you out to Epstein? Because I can just say that I've got the text messages of Ivanka being pimped out by Epstein, and I can just make up a bunch of shit like Kash Patel did. But you have to ask Ivanka, were you pimped out to Epstein? Did Trump, your daddy, pimp you out to Epstein? We have to ask Ivanka that. There's no other source. I guess we could ask, well, no, they don't believe the other witnesses, but we could ask the other victims and say, hey, was Ivanka one of the girls that Trump was pimping out to Epstein? So you have to repeat your comment. Your comment didn't appear. Net and YouTube may have deleted it. Ghost Samurai says, Mr. Andrew, have a good day, sir. See you next time. See you next time, Ghost Samurai. Thanks for coming by. Sorry if I've ever had any tension with you before, because I'm in the midst of talking to a bunch of Nazi pedophiles, and sometimes I forget that not everybody here is a Nazi pedophile. So, thank you. Also, I'm curious about what you did to that witches' coven in Peachtree City, because you've mentioned that a few times, and I feel like there's a story there that needs to be told. Anyway, I'll probably shut down the live pretty soon, so if you're in here and you have something you need to say, Go ahead and say it. But thanks for being here, Ghost Samurai. Thanks for being here, Sixth Sense Amelia. Thanks for being here, Stuffelson. The rest of you, you shouldn't have been in here. It was a mistake. Net and YouTube picked the wrong people for my live. You should be in a different live. Or you should not be on YouTube at all. You should be investigating the fact that Trump and Putin are lying to you. There's no trans people here. You don't need to be trying to attack trans people. They're lying to you. And they're lying to you to make you support pedophiles and Nazis. So stop supporting pedophiles and Nazis. It's pretty simple. You skipped it again. No, I didn't skip it. I think YouTube's deleting it. I just read your comment where you said, quit skipping comments. You know you're scared of them. And then you said you skipped it again, dumbass, as if you typed it again. YouTube deleted it before you could type it. Maybe you're going to have to spell things with a little less Nazi clue words. Okay? So we know Tyler Robinson is a Nazi Groyper because of the things he inscribed on the bullets. They're all Groyper things. These Nazis in the media will try to distract from that and say, well, no, he's just a gamer. This is just gamer talk. I'm a gamer. Millions of us are gamers, and we don't talk like that. It's Groyper talk. It's Nazi talk. It's Nazi code word. What about transgenders? Resodic, belong. Okay, he's typing it out word by word. And then are we gonna be surprised why Net and YouTube filters against hate speech probably block this? They're trying to say that transgenders are insane. This is what Charlie Kirk himself said. He claimed that transgenders have a mental problem. Transgender people, there's no such thing as transgenders. Transgender people have a mental problem, is what Charlie Kirk said. He got shot. And Resodic said. No, he can't teach me anything. You're a Nazi pedophile. You agree with Resodic because he's a Nazi pedophile. You can all be cautionary examples to all of America and all humanity. Don't be like Coleman and Resodic, whatever. Don't be like them. They're Nazis and pedophiles. They're confirming they're Nazis and pedophiles with every single thing they say. Don't be like them. Use that as the test. If anybody repeats Nazi pedophile lies about people being trans and stuff like that, they're a Nazi. Never listen to them again. Call them out for it. Just like they caught what sounds like a threat to you. You're threatened by the truth. You're a Nazi and a pedophile. I'm saying people should never listen to you. I'm saying you shouldn't have internet access. I'm saying you shouldn't be allowed to interact with the public. I'm saying you should be locked away. You're a Nazi and a pedophile. I'm actually saying the same thing you're saying about trans people. You're saying trans people should be in asylums for being trans. I'm saying you should be locked away for being a Nazi and a pedophile. What I'm saying is actually true. What you're saying is a lie. Simple as that. Definitely a threat. No, you should be locked away. The laws state that pedophiles should be locked away. We should have stronger laws saying that Nazis should be locked away. We can write those laws, or people can just lock you away. People can citizens arrest you and lock you away in a basement. It's still an arrest. It's a lot more legal than your kidnappings of Mexican people, or kidnappings of all people of all races. You guys have been kidnapping them because you're Nazis, and you're putting them in concentration camps because you're Nazis, and you're violating everyone's rights because you're Nazis, and you're threatening and terrorizing people because you're Nazis. All these things are about you being Nazis. You could stop being Nazis. Resodic says, bro's vocabulary is Nazi, pedophile, Trump, and Putin. Who am I talking to? Nazi, pedophile, Trump, Putin-ears. I'm not going to let you go like they did the head of Israel's cybersecurity. You guys are pro-Israel, right? Tell me about how pro-Israel you are. Tell me, are you on the Charlie Kirk side of the terrorist network, or are you on the Nick Fuente side of the terrorist network? Are you pro-Israel or anti-Semitic? Which one are you? Because you're only one of those two. You can't just be a normal person who is anti-Zionist but pro-Judaism, having no problem with Jews. You have to be anti-Semitic. You have to hate Jews, or you're pro-Israel. Which one are you guys? I'll read those comments before I shut down the live. I'll wait for you guys to confirm whether you're pro-Israel or you're Klansmen, Nazis. I mean, you're still Nazis and probably still Klansmen if you're pro-Israel, if you're a Zionist, because you're using Israel to commit a genocide so that the backlash can also be another genocide. Coleman says, why is it always about external wars? I think we shouldn't be involved at all, right? So you're like Marjorie Taylor Greene. You're like an isolationist. Okay, but are you So you're not pro-Israel. You're more on the Nick Fuentes Groyper side. You're more willing to assassinate people because you're like Tyler Robinson. You're a Groyper. You're a Nazi. You're anti-Israel and a Nazi. Because a lot of Nazis are pro-Israel. Okay? Just letting you know. You can apparently still be a Nazi and be super pro-Israel. But you're on the anti-Israel, Nick Fuentes Groyper side of being a Nazi. Correct? I got you all figured out, Coleman? Is there anything else we need to know? Let's just repeat your stats for the Nazi hunters. Joined 17 years ago with 15 subscribers. That's your Nazi. Been on, and I think he said he was 39. He said he was 39 years old. Anyway, 37 or 39 years old. You can scroll back through the chat and find out. Because these Nazis are such idiots. They go into a Nazi hunter live. They go into a portal that transfers their information to the Nazi hunters. And they just leave a lot of information. They just leave a lot of breadcrumbs. They're like, oh, I'm going to say how much I believe Kash Patel's story about trans people, blaming trans people for the murder that my buddy, my Groyper terrorist cellmate, Tyler Robinson did. You know Tyler Robinson's a Groyper. You know he's a Nazi. You know he follows Nick Fuentes. You know he's MAGA. You know he's a Trump-hooteneer. You know they just fired Jimmy Kimmel for saying that Tyler Robinson is a MAGA Trump-hooteneer when that's exactly what he is. They fired Jimmy Kimmel for the truth because they can't handle the truth. All right, well, we're shutting down the live now. We've doxed a few, or tracked a few Nazi pedophiles, and hopefully the Nazi hunters will get them soon. So, anyway, thanks for giving your houses and families, potentially, to immigrants, because you need to be deported for your Nazi pedophile treason. Deporting you is the nice and expensive thing to do. To ship your ass to Siberia, the country you chose over America. But anything else that happens to you instead that frees up your house for immigrants and frees up your family for immigrants is better. That's acceptable. We also need automatic citizenship for everyone ICE contacts. We need a path for the military to leave until Trader Trump is gone and then come back without any penalties. To get paid to stay home, I call it the Pillow Revolution. We can do it from bed. Pay all the military to stay home and not obey Trump's treasonous orders. Anything less than that would be a betrayal of our military servicemen and servicewomen and service trans people and service gender fluid people. So let's stop betraying them. Or let's cancel the military entirely. That's an option too. We can cancel the country entirely. We can politely ask Canada and Mexico to annex half of us each and facilitate land back to indigenous people. And you see what you get for electing Trump. The end of America. You got to pick one. You can't have Trump and USA. You pick one or the other. Okay? If you guys pick Trump, we can end USA one way or the other. If we pick USA, we got to end Trump. We got to stop Trumpism. And again, Church of Judas replaces all patriarchy, Christianity, war, and Trumpism. So check out the hashtag Church of Judas. Net and YouTube. Do better. Pick better people for my live next time. I'm glad that out of 17 people at one time, you picked one good person. But I've had up to 100 people in here at a time. And only one good person. So do better, Net and YouTube. I know you're afraid of these ideas getting out there. You're afraid of getting your masters replaced by different masters who aren't Zionist Nazis and pedophiles. But we need that. We need that at YouTube. And it will be better for YouTube when you get replaced. Or even if your masters who are Zionist pedophiles now wake up and stop being Zionist pedophiles in the future. That'd be great. Charlie Kirk started to wake up and stop being such a Zionist. And they killed him. But they can't kill everybody. They might try. They might show that they can kill everybody in Gaza. You know, they're trying to show that. But they can't kill everybody. And we'll stop them. And these Nazi pedophiles and these Zionist Nazi pedophiles, not Zionists, not Zionists, and these Klan Nazi pedophiles in comments, you know, they're going to have to pick a side. And what they should do, instead of picking a side between Nick Fuentes and Charlie Kirk, as they're obviously already on one of those sides, is pick the other side from both of those. Pick America instead. I'm going to make a video about that. See y'all later.